Good morning and welcome to the September 20th, 23 meeting. How did it get to be this late in the month already? Before we start, we always open with a prayer, and we have David Tennant from the Owensville United Methodist Church. Thank you.
Thought you were going to give me 45 extra seconds, but I guess not. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Psalm 118 tells us, "This is the day that you have made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it." Rejoice. I think we do well to strive for happiness, which is fleeting, which is external. Joy is internal. We should recognize, Father, that you have created this day. You have made us, you have given us gifts and talents. And it's through those gifts and talents, when serving you, that we go beyond happiness to joy, serving you by serving others. And Father, in this place and in our jobs now or throughout the course of this day, help us to move beyond happiness into joy. And again, joy is found often when we serve others. So in this time and in this place right now, equip them to do your work. Equip us here or beyond, again, to do your work, because this is the only day that we know we have. I'm sure each one of us can think of people who were here one day and gone the next. So, Father, let us rejoice in this day. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Painter, you want to lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First on the agenda is the approval of the regular session minutes of 9/13/23. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. Roll call, Gail?
Commissioner Painter?
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran?
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor?
Yes. Item C is public participation. Do I have anyone here that would like to speak with the board?
And I signed that.
Okay, if you'll come to the podium, give your name and your address.
Make sure you read.
Yes. And before you start, I have a little paper I have to read.
Okay.
We have reached the public participation section of the agenda. During this time, the board does not answer questions nor engage in debate. No member of the public may comment about a matter that is not within the purview of the county commissioner's responsibilities. The commissioners are not expected to comment on matters brought to the board during this time. Each speaker shall only speak once and shall be recognized by the board president before speaking. In accordance with the board's rules of procedure, your comments are limited to 5 minutes. Okay.
I'm Beverly Welburn, and my address is 1729 East Huntley. So I wish to address everyone here, but I'm particularly addressing Bonnie Batchelor. And what I want to say to you, Bonnie, is the continuation of these shots, the COVID vaccines with the nanotechnology in them, is harming people. It has harmed me substantially. And we've talked about this before. At any time in the last year and a half, you could have brought forth legislation which would ban the jab in the county as the county commissioner, and you have not done so. At any time in the last year and a half since we began dialogue about this, you could have, as a member of the DAC, changed the personnel of the health board such that they would stop causing harm. You have not done so. This is unacceptable. This is simply harming people. It's continuing to harm people. And what's the story? Why does this go on and on and on? There's been no dialogue with us. We have substantial evidence that this is the case, that the jabs are causing harm. No one seems to want to look at it. Mr. Painter has attended a couple of our AMT meetings and has seen some of our evidence, but you're actually the DAC. You're the one that would change the personnel of the health board to reflect the fact that these jabs are simply dangerous. The lack of response is amazing. The amount of harm which has been caused is amazing. The degree of trespass against our natural rights is amazing. I'm talking, I have had harm to my physical body from contact with injected people. In fact, it's dangerous for people who are sensitive to this shot to be in the room with several injected people. It's dangerous to me right now to give you this information, to speak to you today, because there are undoubtedly several people in here who are emitting spike proteins, microwaves, the nanotechnology itself. And again, we have evidence that this is the case. When will you look at the evidence? My first and preferred remedy for this is immediate action to stop the distribution, access, and administration of the COVID-19 and any other messenger RNA nanoparticle injections across Clermont County vaccination facilities. I'm asking that you do this within the next 7 days. Enough is enough. We have told you and told you and told you that this is causing harm. And you do have the power to change this. May I give this paper to her? Is this correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else want to address the board? Okay. Moving on, we're going to move item H up, and that's county staff elected official discussion. And Yvonne Smith, Human Resource Benefit Coordinator, USI. Recommendations?
Yes, first of all, I'd like to introduce Steve Ferguson from USI. Steve is our broker, USI is our broker for healthcare. And Steve has a presentation for you, and then later in the agenda, we will do the recommendations.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hopefully it's a little more interesting than some of the things today. So we're here today to talk about just an update from what we gave last time. And so today's really about the recommendation for some of the new vendors. And I know there'll be discussion on some funding issues that will be taken up next week. So we can certainly take any of the questions or comments that come up today for that. So looking at this, I want to start out with actual cost compared to actual cost. So when you look at actual cost for the county for this year, through August, the county's paid about $9.9 million in actual cost, which is a 1% reduction in actual cost from 2022. That really, it's made up of an 8% decrease in actual medical cost and a 23% increase in pharmacy cost. We did 2 RFPs this year, one for pharmacy and one for a medical plan administrator. So when we do a pharmacy RFP, because you want to look at an entire year of claims and make sure that the new pharmacy vendors can evaluate that, what you do is you take an entire year of actual claims, which in this case, we took the whole year of 22, and then we submit that to all of the pharmacy managers. They actually run through those claims into their system and say, if we had been your pharmacy manager based on these claims, this is how we would have paid it for this next year. And so it's referred to as a repricing. So based on the repricing, we actually have a recommendation on one of the pharmacy managers that is a larger pharmacy manager than what we currently have. It actually takes advantage of some of the new rebates that are in the marketplace and some greater discounts. So the savings that we look at through the repricing is about $800,000. So that's number one. Number two was we also did an RFP for medical plan administrators. We looked at the entire market that's out there today. We looked at SEBCO, which is a affiliation with Anthem. We looked at Aetna and Cigna and some other third-party administrators. The most favorable proposal was to stay with United Healthcare for this year. We did have a very favorable proposal from SEBCO. We'll explain a little bit more about that in just a few minutes. So the next page, it's interesting. So when you look at actual costs this year, a projection, so we know what costs we have through August, and we know the cost over the last 12 months. So our actuary actually does a projection, and the projection for 2023 based on actual costs is about $15 million, which is above the expectation or the projection that we had for this year. When you look at in 2024, we have expected medical cost and pharmacy cost of about 14.6. So the actual cost this year will come in at about 15 million. The projection for next year, based on your claims for this year, is coming in about 14.6. So that's the projection for 24. Which, when you look at actual costs compared to the projection for next year, it's actually a decrease of about $400,000 or 3% from actual cost.
Steve, just a point of clarification.
Yes, sir.
Actual costs are expected this year at around $15 million.
Yes.
What was the budgeted cost? What did we think that was going to cost? When at the beginning of the year, what did we say for 23?
So we expected 14.2 million for this year, which included 400,000 that we pulled out of the healthcare reserve. That was
And was the difference in that the 23% in pharmacy costs? Is that what drove us up to the
pretty much
15 million?
that's a big driver for it. Yes.
And if I remember, we had two different kinds, right? We had a different pharmacy manager for specialty drugs versus regular drugs.
So there were two components in the pharmacy plan. The first component is a group pharmacy manager called Elixir, which handled the benefits from 22 and 23. We introduced in 23 an additional service that's referred to as paid health. Paid health is a group that actually takes advantage of what's called patient assistance programs through that. In 22, we actually saved about $1.4 million in pharmacy costs. Saved, meaning we didn't pay for $1.4 million because it was run through patient assistance. That number was about $400,000 less in 23, primarily because one of the major manufacturers in pharmacy cost, our pharmacy, decided to exclude patient assistance, and they excluded Humira, which is the #1 specialty drug, and that impacted the county for 23 about $400,000. So,
And the only reason I make that inquiry is because when we deal with these costs, we're dealing with what we believe will be projected costs.
yes, that's
When actual costs come out, that's a different story a lot of
Right.
times, and there's many reasons why that changes. So,
yes, that's
okay, just wanted to
Yeah.
clarify that.
Did I answer
Thank
your
you.
question?
You did.
Okay, good. Next. So to kind of tie into that, just to make up, when we look at the funding for 23, $2 million was made up in employee contributions, and $11.7 million was department contributions, along with a draw of about $400,000 in the healthcare reserve. That's the 14.2 we talked about. So without drawing on another $400,000 in the reserve, the difference between the funding of this year compared to the expectation and cost for next year is about $800,000. So we have gone through many different scenarios with human resources, and so the administration and the advisory committee are looking at some possible options for this, and that'll be presented next week. Okay. This presentation, as I mentioned before, is really around just the vendor recommendations for next year. So the first thing is just a summary of what we did for the pharmacy managers. And you can see we have a lot of pharmacy managers up there. The reason why Elixir shows up over the incumbent is because Elixir came back and said, if you would reconsider us, here's some improvements that they had. And they did fine, but the improvements really were not up to where everybody else is in the marketplace. So the best proposal that's on the table is a company that's called Magellan. Magellan is one of the top 5 pharmacy managers in the country. They have available to them better rebates. They have available to them better discounts, and they're taking advantage of some of the latest market rebates that are out there these days. So the result is that we have a better rebate opportunity with Magellan that we have in the world today. You'll see in the middle of the page, it says patient assistance funding. The $1.1 million is what the county would have paid without paid health. but because of paid health, we actually get the manufacturer to actually pay the cost of the drug instead of the county doing it. Last year in 22, that 1.1 was about $1.5 million. So when you look at that, that's the difference in that one drug that came up on this. So when it's all said together, you look at what we expect the program to come in at based on the repricing of the 22 claims with 24 discounts and 24 rebates. We expect the difference to be about $800,000 savings compared to what we spend in the pharmacy plan this year. So we're going to carry that forward because we think that that's pretty valuable. So the next page is actually the result of the RFP for the medical plan. And you can see we looked at several. There are a lot that are not on here because they were just not in the top category. But we looked at United Healthcare with the current pharmacy manager. We looked at United Healthcare with the preferred pharmacy manager, and then another large one that's in the marketplace today. And also Sebco through with Anthem came in at a very attractive number. Let's just walk down the list so you can see the plan administration, which is what the United Healthcare charges to pay claims, $700,000. County administration, $110,000. The credits are actually larger. We're getting from United Healthcare for next year, $140,000. The stop loss premium, which we believe we still haven't finalized it. Voya hasn't come back with the final number, but we believe we're within 2% of what that number should be. And then expected claims. This is a number that's a projection based on the actuary that we have for USI. And then the HSA contribution for those people who are in the HSA plan today. And then, of course, the pharmacy savings that we carried forward compared to current cost for this year. The savings would be for next year about $468,000. Now, you'll see on here that if you look over in the Sebco line, you'll see that Sebco on itself would save almost $1.2 million in costs. The difference is that Sebco is really a fully insured plan. As you're aware that the county has a self-insured plan today, which means, we continue to pay claims as claims come in. And we would continue to pay claims even after the year because those claims are incurred during this time period. With Sebco would be a premium that we would actually start paying. So for the first 3 months of the year, we would continue to pay the run out of claims incurred in 23 and 24, and we would pay a premium to Sebco during that same time period. So that number of the run out that we would have is about $1.1 million. So you can see what happens is the savings we would have for Sebco get canceled out because we're paying double at that point. So that's one of the reasons. And there's another big reason too, is when you look at the cost that Sebco provided of the PPO plan and the HSA plan, they reversed it so that those people who are in the PPO plan today will actually pay less. Those people who are in the HSA will actually pay more. So it's a change in the way that the structure is done these days. So we tried to get it worked out, but that's just the way that their system is set up. So.
Explain that run out potential again. The run out potential is what hasn't come in so far this year.
Correct.
Is that what that is?
So if I had a claim that was incurred in June of this year, the hospital may not submit the claim to United Healthcare until, say, January. And so what happens is the county's still responsible for that claim that comes in. So the expectation based on history that we know today is that we should have about 3 months to 4 months of claims that come in based on prior claims. And so that number is about $1.1 million. So,
But you're going to pay those claims under the current program. If
yes,
you stay with them anyway. I mean,
that's correct.
I mean,
would.
The cost is the cost. That
Cost is
$1.1
the
million
cost.
doesn't go away.
Right. So if you're self-insured going to next year, that's already in that number that we've already anticipated. We've already expected that. However, if you have a fully insured account, you're going to be paying double for that time period. So, right.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
No, but
Crazy.
I'll run it down later.
Oh,
No, but I'll run it down later.
okay. All right.
You would pay the run-out claims plus the premium for the Sebco claim.
Right.
In addition to.
You would pay them anyway.
Understood. Understood.
So the next item on the agenda is a recommendation to cover weight loss drugs. Why are we considering that? First, it is probably one of the hottest things in healthcare these days. Most companies are looking at covering weight loss drugs. I know a lot of large companies, in fact, one of the largest companies in Clermont County is looking at covering weight loss drugs for next year. A lot of the large companies in Cincinnati are looking at covering this. Why do they do that? Because it's really considered a preventive measure. When you look at the health statistics for Clermont County, the health of your employees and members, one of the reasons why we have higher cost is because we have high incidence of heart disease, blood pressure, cholesterol. And so one of the best ways to reduce those costs is to reduce weight. And so if you reduce weight, you have a corresponding decrease in health risk. And so one of the things that people have looked at is to say, if you can do this in a situation that doesn't require the surgery, and you could do it through drugs, then that's one of the reasons why people are doing this. So that was one of the recommendations. It's on a limited trial basis. We're going to look at this every year and look at this in a year and say, does this work? Has this been effective? Is this cost effective? If it's not, then the ability would come in to recommend taking it away at that point. So the next thing is we looked at the dental plan itself. And so we currently the county is with Delta Dental, which is a fine dental program. Delta Dental actually came in at a 6% increase, which is we think is a larger increase than it should have been. We actually had a proposal from MetLife that came in at 1%. We did a full review of dentists that are in the program. It's pretty competitive. There are some dentists that are not in the program. However, one of the things that stands out with MetLife that's different than Delta Dental, if you go to a dentist today with Delta Dental and the person is not in the Delta Dental program, that person receives what's called a scheduled benefit. So there's actually a schedule that says up. So if I have a tooth removed or a crown, it's based on a schedule. And that schedule with Delta Dental is probably a little bit old. Whereas with MetLife pays 90% of whatever the going rate is at the time. So what we found is that generally provides a better benefit, even if the doctor is not if the dentist is not in the program. So to illustrate this, we took a real life example of one of your employees, and we said, here's a person whose dentist is not in the Delta Dental program, and the person is also not in the MetLife program. And you can see for that person, the person actually saved $70 on just really very basic procedures that are out there. And of course, the savings would be higher if the situation is a little bit more than that. So we think it would be a better benefit for employees in the long run. So some additional coverages that are out there. You have coverages through VOIA for your life and disability program. Because of some of the claims that have happened with some of the deaths that have occurred in the county, we really had no carriers that were more competitive than the VOIA proposal that came in this year. VOIA's increase was about $25,000, which is much less than some of the death claims that were paid out. And so that would be their increase for this year. We also were able to negotiate no increase with VOIA for your long-term disability and also your voluntary life and AD&D for next year. So to wrap it up, there's some recommendations that we're making to the board, which is to remain with United Healthcare for 2024, to actually adopt a new pharmacy manager, which is called Magellan RX, to add weight loss drugs on a trial basis for a year, to change the dental insurance company to MetLife, and to remain with VOIA for life insurance and LTD. And then just as I just said before, the stop loss proposal that we have listed on that page is a projection, but we believe it's probably within 2% of where the final is going to come in, and maybe lower than that. So, any questions?
One more question. Just
Yes,
before you leave. So talking about medical insurance again.
Yep.
Any full insured program
Yes.
that would give us a quote
Yes.
or that we would negotiate with would have to take into consideration those run out costs.
It does, but the difference is that you still pay a premium. So if I am paying a premium, so if I simply take the say the monthly premium is $2 million, I'm going to pay $2 million for, or not $2 million, but I'll pay, say I'm paying for $300,000 a month for the monthly premium. I'm going to pay that for 3 months, so I'm up to close to $1 million. At the same time, I will have already paid. I will pay claims that roll through the United Healthcare program as a run out.
Right.
So the new group who's fully insured, they're not paying any of those prior claims. They only
Right,
take over
so-
from day one, right?
So what I'm saying is if you're going with a fully insured plan, that's going to happen anyway, because you're going to have to pay those other costs that
That's
were the
right.
run out. You've already incurred, I call those accrued costs. You've already incurred those costs.
Right.
They just haven't hit the books.
Right.
So when it comes to accounting, you're going to include those costs in your year-to-date projections because you've already accrued them. Even though you haven't gotten an invoice for it, you know you've accrued those costs because those people have gotten those medical procedures
That's right.
and have incurred. So no matter what carrier you would go to, unless you're going to self-insure, if we always remain self-insured, you're always going to have those run-out costs. So my comment to that is really not looking apples to apples. You're looking apples to oranges, because any program that we would go to that would give us a fully insured cost, there's going to be that gap or that accrued cost to get out of the previous program, unless the new provider that you pick, you're going with a self-insured approach. Is that fair?
It is, but the difference is someone still has to pay the run out of the prior, and the new group only takes over for claims in January 1st.
Right.
So any fully insured group would only say whatever is run out is still your responsibility, not paid by us. So the county still has to pay those, where they take over and say a claim that's incurred from January 1st on, they're going to cover in their fully insured program. So your thing of apples and oranges, the orange would be the self-insured, and the apple would be the self-insured. Right. That's right.
Right.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. Well, and let me ask, because you negotiate these programs all the time. Is there room to negotiate with a fully insured provider that says, hey, look, we need your quote to include picking up these run out costs that are going to be incurred?
And that's a great question. And that's exactly what we asked. So we went to them and said, will you pick up the run out situation? And they were not willing to pick up the run out in this situation. So we asked, and their proposal actually came down quite a bit from what actually shows up on this number, just because trying to negotiate that. And they came back with a lot of different things, some savings and some special programs, different things like that. But in the long run, you've got savings of $1 million and you've got run out of $1 million. So that the two kind of balance out each other. So,
Okay. And when we get into the financial part,
yes.
I'll have one other question about who benefits from these contracts, and what is really in these contracts.
Yes. Yeah. That's good.
In other words, is there any incentives for a company like yours to pick one particular provider or another?
No.
And so we'll talk about that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
But just to let you know, there's no incentive for us to pick one versus the other. We don't care. That's right. Right.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate your help.
At this time, Tom, do you want to go with any other staff or elected official discussion? Okay. Moving back then to item D, consent agenda. Board, we've had this in time to review. Do I have a motion to approve it as presented?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Corcoran. Commissioner Painter.
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes. Moving on to item E, non-consent agenda. Item 5, it is the recommendation that the Board of County Commissioners adopt, resolution number 135-23, resolving to approve payment to vendors in the total amount of $2,655,663.96 as set forth in the BCC approval invoice report for checks dated September 20th, 2023, BCC directed prepaid invoice reports and or the procurement card transaction report as presented by the county auditor on 9/18/23, and further authorizing the county auditor to issue warrants for same pursuant to section 319.16 of the Ohio Revised Code. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Painter,
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran, Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes. Item 6, Greg.
Morning, Board. This is your favorite topic, solar. As you recall, we have our restricted resolution in place. We do have some more additions to that resolution, so I'll read the motion and then we can discuss what's changed. It's a recommendation to authorize the clerk of the board to place a public notice in the Clermont Sun on Thursday, September 28th, to publish a date, time, location pursuant to the Ohio Revised Code, Section 303.58, for a public meeting to consider requests submitted by resolution from the various townships to declare the totality of the unincorporated portion of those townships as a restricted area for the construction of economically significant wind farms, large solar facilities. The public meeting will be held during regular session on Wednesday, November 1st, 2023 at 10 a.m. local time, right here in this room.
Okay. Board, we've had the reading of item number 6 very fast, too. Do I have a motion to approve as presented?
So moved. I'm just trying to stay. Just trying to keep
Not
up.
your first rodeo.
Do I have a second?
Second, but I want him to reread it.
No discussion. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes.
This now adds all townships except for Miami, Pierce, and Wayne. So this will be every other township.
Which are the specifics that'll be on this particular notice?
It's the entire map. So
Okay.
the amendment basically just redoes your whole map. So it's like we're starting over. So the entire map is going to be subject to referendum again.
But we had 7 previous, right?
Yeah. So we've added Union.
Hold on. Okay, go.
Gail can help.
Union, Goshen, Franklin, Ohio.
And the option was, discussion was had with all townships that this was being prepared. So we hit the point where it was time to move forward. I think Pierce is, at this point, Pierce is not doing anything.
It's the same way.
And Miami is really, they don't have the land to really to do this. So, there you go.
Thanks, Greg.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Item 7, Jennifer Poe. Morning.
Morning. Recommendation to execute an addendum increase in the amount of $52,706 with the revised total award amount of $1,106,842 to the subsidy grant agreement identified as CCA-2024-CLERM CPAPD-00122 for community-based corrections program between the County of Clermont County, Ohio, and the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections, Division of Parole and Community Services, Bureau of Community Sanctions, 4545 Fisher Road, Suite D, Columbus, Ohio, 43222, for the Community Corrections Act 2.0 entitled CCA 2.0 for and on behalf of the Clermont County Common Pleas Adult Probation Department as designed implementing agency, as the designated implementing agency with no local match required, effective for the period of July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2025, pursuant to and in compliance with the terms and conditions and in concert with the directives received by the Bureau of Community Sanctions for the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections. Yes.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Board, we've had the reading of item number 7. Do I have a motion to approve?
Make the motion.
You want her to read that again too, Claire?
No,
Second.
no.
Okay.
But if you ever run into those long ones like that, just have Greg read them.
Yeah.
Real quick.
There you go. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Suki, see how fast you can read.
I don't think I can beat that one. Item 8 is a recommendation to accept the contract between the county and Barrett Paving Materials relative to the 2022 road resurfacing project RSO 122, which was located in various townships and villages. This was complete as of 12/15 of 22, and also to authorize execution of payment number 7 final, which represents the release retainage in the amount of $327,996.08 plus any accrued interest.
Thank you. Board, we've had the reading of item number 8. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I will second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Commissioner Painter,
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran,
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes, thanks,
You
Suki.
just, for information purposes, this ended up being a $7.9 million contract with Barrett. We had 1.8 million of that from our cooperative townships and villages. The other 6.1 was from the county, of which $4 million was your ARPA funds that you it committed to the roads, and it ended up, based on the road edge lines, it looks like we did about 44 miles of roads with that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job, Suki, and the team over there. I know that's a big stretch.
Morning, Terry.
Good morning. Morning, Commissioners. I have agenda item number 9. It's a recommendation to amend Appendix 4.09 of the Clermont County Personnel Policy and Procedures Manual with respect to the Clermont County Classification Plan as outlined in Exhibit A, adding the position of Water Resource Department Industrial Pretreatment Coordinator, class number 59630, pay range A, effective upon approval, and further to authorize the update of the appropriate internet links and appendices accordingly.
Thank you. Board, we've had the reading of item number 9. Do I have a motion to approve?
Make the motion.
Second?
Any discussion? Roll call?
Commissioner Corcoran,
Yes.
Commissioner Painter,
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes. A lot of doors opening here.
We had a prosecutor come in and things just, he started talking real loud and I was like, wait a minute, where am I? Sorry.
Okay.
Okay, item number 10.
Number 10 is the recommendation to adopt a revised table of organization for the Water Resources Department to remove one position of Water Resource Department Program Manager 1, class number 79385, pay range 15, and to add one position of Water Resources Department Industrial Pretreatment Coordinator, class plan number 59630, pay range A, as outlined above and in Exhibit A, attached thereto and made a part thereof, effective upon approval, and further to authorize the update of the appropriate internet links and appendices accordingly.
Thank you, Terry. Board, we've had the reading of item number 10. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Commissioner Painter,
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran,
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes, thank you. Jesse?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Item number 11 is the recommendation to authorize Bonnie J. Batchelor, President of the Board of County Commissioners, to execute the maintenance agreement in accordance with the end user license agreement with Absolute Software, formerly known as NetMotion Wireless, out of Seattle, Washington, pursuant to and in compliance with the terms and conditions set forth therein at a rate not to exceed $19,935.60 for maintenance and support of 222 licenses effective September 30th, 2023 through September 29th of 2024, pursuant to and in compliance with the terms and conditions and contingent upon the release of the required purchase order.
Thank you, Jesse. We've had the reading of item number 11. Do I have a motion to approve? Any discussion? Roll call?
Commissioner Corcoran,
Yes.
Commissioner Painter,
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes. thank
Jesse,
you.
did I see you got a new employee for 911?
Temporarily, yes.
And she's very pretty.
She's been a perfect addition so far. She just likes to eat and sleep, just like our dispatchers. So, of course, not on the job. But
And just so everyone knows what we're talking about, there is now a service dog at the communication center.
It's so neat.
thank you very much.
Very
We
nice.
are very happy to have her. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning, Connie.
Item number 12 is a recommendation to acknowledge the renewal of the sub-grant agreement between the Board of Clermont County Commissioners on behalf of the Clermont County Department of Job and Family Services, which serves as the administrative entity for the Southwest Ohio Regional Training Center located in Clermont County, Ohio, and the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services in Columbus, Ohio, previously ratified by the Board of County Commissioners on June the 28th of 2021 and subsequently amended on November 9th of 2022 for the provision of funding for the administration of the Ohio Human Services Training System at the Southwest Ohio Regional Training Center for state fiscal years 2022 and 2023, with said renewal to allow for the provision of funding for the administration of the Ohio Human Services Training System at the Southwestern Ohio Regional Training Center in the amount up to $109,180 for state fiscal year 2024 and up to $109,180 for state fiscal year 2025 for a total amount not to exceed $218,360. This is effective from July 1 of 2023 through June 30th of 2025, with all other terms of the original sub-grant agreement to remain in full force and effect pursuant to the ODJFS renewal letter and attached budget.
Thank you. Board, we've had the reading of item number 12. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Commissioner Painter,
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran, Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning.
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 Item 13 is a recommendation to execute amendment number 1 to the contract for professional services between the Clermont County Board of Commissioners and Hazen and Sawyer out of Cincinnati, Ohio. This was previously ratified by the board on June 15th, 2022 for project number 6401-60156 for the water distribution model maintenance project for the Clermont County Water Resource Department for additional engineering services for available capacity evaluations and represents an increase in the amount of $100,000 for a total revised contract amount of $200,000, with all other terms and conditions of the original contract to remain in full force and effect and contingent upon the release of the required purchase order. So this contract we have with Hazen and Sawyer, we've got a model, a computerized model of our water distribution system. When we get inquiries for large water needs, we have them model those. Even some of the bigger subdivisions that we've had, they model those. We've had a lot more inquiries for water capacity over the past year, and so we need additional funds to help support their services.
Board, you've had the reading of item number 13. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Commissioner Corcoran,
Yes.
Commissioner Painter,
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes. Thank you, Lyle. Yvonne?
Good morning, Yvonne Smith from the Health Advice, or Human Resources Office. Apparently, I don't know where I'm from. It is our recommendation to accept the 2024 vendor recommendations as presented earlier to the Board of County Commissioners by USI, and to acknowledge the renewals of the listed carriers as printed in the agenda, effective January 1st, 2024, and to authorize the benefits coordinator to obtain new agreements as noted for the reference services for submittal to the Board of County Commissioners for ratification. And 3, to establish the cafeteria plan reflecting the 2024 plans, employee costs, and the 2024 benefit credits to schedule the 2024 benefit open enrollment period. As mentioned during the presentation, we'll have the funding recommendations for you next week.
Thank you, Yvonne. Board, we've had the reading of item number 14. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, before we make a vote on that, there's another proposal here for a full insured provider. And the runout cost is 1.48, but the cost savings is 1.1. So really between the runout cost and the cost savings, it's flat. It's flat. My question to this board would be, why wouldn't we make that choice when we go flat 1 year, but preceding years, we can lower the cost here by what it shows, 468 versus 1.1.
So we did.
And I would ask why we wouldn't postpone this vote or table this item to ensure that the administrator and the assistant administrator can take a look at that to see what the projected costs are over the next 5 years. If after the first year that we pay the flat, we pay the premium cost and the run out cost, and then for the next 4 years, we get a savings that's, $700,000 better than what we would if we continue on our same path. Do I see that wrong from this proposal?
No, actually, I had this same thought initially when we first went to the Health Advisory Committee. That was our same thought. Why were we not taking a deeper look? So we did take a deeper look. We
Okay.
worked with SEPCO to try and negotiate this around. We had them send us copies of their plans that they were proposing. When we took a look at the plans, the copay plan costs, so theirs are already set. Those copay plan costs were slightly more than what we currently are charging for the copay plans. However, the high deductible plan came in at way higher. So you're going to affect a third of your population with higher payroll deductions. It really, I don't actually understand why they are doing that, because it doesn't make to me, it doesn't make a logical sense, because a high deductible plan is first dollar cost to the member. So the member takes on more of the responsibility of the cost of that plan and at the cost of their care. So I don't really actually understand. I think that SEPCO could be a player in future years. And I think that we need to really talk to them and work with them about what their plan designs are. I do think that we should not shut the door on them for future years. However, they don't have anything that compares to what we have right now. We also took it to the Health Advisory Committee and asked them their opinion. Their opinion is if you take the dollar amount that SEPCO is charging, you add in the run out for this year, you are basically at the same point. So why are we going to disrupt care to the employees when we're basically not saving anything? It's a flat. It comes in basically flat.
In my argument for that would be is over the next 5 years, it's not going to be that case. You're going to lower your cost by a bunch, which this board could choose to fund those differences so that, the employee didn't have to contribute so much. I just look at this as I just look at it as a long-term business proposal. And I go, look, by the numbers that have been presented here, it does not make sense to go with UHC Magellan.
If I may add one more piece with SEPCO, please. And certainly this is for the board's discussion. The bigger piece for me, and I believe some of the committee as well, is with SEPCO, they are a consortium, for lack of a better term, of other counties. So it's pooled. Looking at who is in SEPCO currently, and I believe if I remember it was 40-some counties, the overwhelming majority of them would consider they're under 500 employees. We would be the largest group in SEPCO. So it was beyond year one is what we looked at, is if it's a wash this year, would we move, would we pick up? We lose control, for lack of a better term, of looking at plan design and some of the things that we heard today about weight loss. If that weren't in SEPCO's plan, it may be, I don't know. The loss of being able to add those things and design what may be best for us. It was the future years with the pool that if we are the largest, could year 2, year 3 kind of hit us harder? So that was all part of that discussion and equation. So it's not just truly picking up fully insured. That is what it is. It's we're still pooled to some degree. So it's not truly fully insured.
Right. And I would ask about those counties that participate. Are we saying that out of 47 counties that participate in that program, when there are only 88 in Ohio, that we would be the largest when we're about the 14th largest county? Are we saying that Franklin and Cuyahoga and Summit and those big counties aren't in this program?
We asked for a list and we would have been the largest.
Okay.
And I
Okay.
can provide that if you like. I think I have.
Yeah, it does.
It tells you a lot.
And we look at
Yeah.
the renewals every year, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
So next year, we could look at the same thing, but if we switch, we're paying the run out costs. To your point, it's going to have to be, if we decide to do that, it's 1 year.
We're
Right?
always
And
gonna
then
pay the run.
Every other year, we still can look at this next year, but we still will have to pay run out costs.
But
Regardless.
because they're a fully insured plan, we're not going to be putting our cash up for stopgap, and we're not going to be expected to make a $250,000 Just a few years ago, we made a $250,000 comp to stopgap for 5 different claims. Is that not correct?
For stop loss.
Yes.
A lot, yes.
And we had to replenish, money into the reserves for that. And that's not unusual. I mean, that could happen again. And if that happens again with this program, in the SEPCO plan, you don't have any contribution. In this plan that you're going to ask to approve today, you're going to approve that $1.2 million right out of your cash. Right? I mean, what you're getting here with the fully insured program is just that, a fully insured program.
When Steve put together the numbers for 2024 using UHC and Magellan, that those projected claims include the run out for this year.
Mhm.
So that is baked in there. So really, if you're looking at what SEPCO is offering, plus compared to what UHC and Magellan would be, what the projection is there, it's the same. And so you're disrupting employees for basically the same dollar amount. And then you don't know what's going to happen the following year because we are, as Sandy said, we would be the largest county in there unless some other county goes in there this year too. We would be the largest county in there. And then the rates based on what all of their claims are would be adjusted for us. And we could take on a much higher level than what we would under our own plans. So,
It's
so
unknown.
far for us, being self-insured has worked. It's not been a devastating thing for us. It has worked. And we, we have a $3 million reserve right now. Whether that stays that way, throughout the year is anybody's guess.
But that $3 million reserve is there because of the possibility of having those kind of costs incurred. In this year, the projections from this say that there's an $800,000 deficit here. And that's either going to be contributed by employees or it's going to be contributed by the board. I mean, that's where you're at. So, I mean, it's not apples to apples, but I'll default. Oh, go ahead.
No, I mean, do you want to wait and table this till next week and take some time to review it?
I would. I would.
Then let's take a motion off now and let's ask for a motion to table then, Madam President?
Yes.
All right?
Yes.
Okay. Let's do that. That gives you more time
So-
to
so
Are
digest
you
it.
making the motion?
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to table item number 14 until next week.
I'll
Is
second.
that right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Corcoran,
Yes.
Commissioner Painter,
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes.
And Tom, by all means, dig into that.
I'll take a look.
Okay. Item 15. Morning.
Item 15 is a request to increase the 2023 appropriations for the Municipal Court Probation Services Fund in the amount of $92,000. And that is to order 2 community services vans because there's like almost a year wait to get these in. And their vans are in dire need of
How many
replacement.
bands do they have? Do we know?
I think only the 2.
We're rotating.
I'm not going to
both
swear
at-
to it though.
They're doing both at the same time? It's
Well, one of them is having problems and is out of service, and the other one is just about reaching its end of life.
why we should rotate. Okay.
Time to rotate.
Gotcha.
Okay. Board, we've had the reading of item number 15. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Painter,
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran,
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Looks like you have item 16.
Item 16 is a recommendation to acknowledge the filing of an amended petition with a revised plat, which was originally filed as the petition for annexation of 1.75.7701 acres from Batavia Township to the village of Batavia, Clermont County, Ohio. And this reflects a change in the total area to be annexed. So now it went from 175.7701 to 175.145 acres. And now this will be known as the amended petition for annexation of 175.145 acres from Batavia Township to the village of Batavia, Clermont County, Ohio. This was all filed in compliance with Section 709.031B of the Ohio Revised Code in the Office of the Board of County Commissioners on Friday, September 15, 2023 by Attorney Michael Manier, who is the attorney and agent for Paul Birding, agent for the petitioners as outlined below. And we have also reflected the acreage changes and it includes the right of way in the table, which was what the amendments were. And further to acknowledge the public hearing date that was set by the clerk of the board for Clermont County for November 8th will remain the same.
Okay. Board, we've had the reading of item number 16. We've tried this a few times, haven't we?
Well, this one, it's the second go round on this one too. So
Okay. So item 16, we've had the reading. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Painter,
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran, Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes. Moving on to item F, additions to the agenda.
Can we hold that until after executive session?
Sure can. Moving on then to item G, executive session pursuant to section 121.22, G2 and G3 of the Ohio Revised Code to consider the purchase of property for public purposes, and 2, to confer with the prosecuting attorney concerning disputes involving the public body that are the subject of pending or imminent court action. Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
Make the motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Corcoran,
Yes.
Commissioner Painter,
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes, we will return. We have returned from executive session where we went in pursuant to section 121.22 G2 and G3 of the Ohio Revised Code to consider the purchase of property for public purposes and to confer with the prosecuting attorney concerning disputes involving the public body that are the subject of pending or imminent court actions. No decisions or actions were taken. And at that time, we'll move on. Mr. Eigel, do we have any add-ons today?
Yeah, we have two, personnel action, water resources department, and then we had an extension of a contract for payment processing. So we can add those, and then Terry and Greg will present those.
Okay, can I have a motion to add these two?
So moved.
I'll second.
Roll call, Gail?
Commissioner Painter,
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran,
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes.
Hi, Terry.
So again, I have a personnel action, which is a dismissal for Water Resources Department employee Julie Kidwell, effective today's date, September 20th, 2023.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve this?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Corcoran,
Yes.
Commissioner Painter,
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes. Yes,
What I
great.
have to apologize is we had some technical difficulties getting the signed version back from Gila, which is why this was an add-on. So we're kind of up against it. So recommendation to execute the extension of contract for services with Gila LLC, doing business as Municipal Services Bureau, located in Austin, Texas, for the provision of payment processing for the county, previously ratified the Board of County Commissioners on 10/23/2019, including all amendments for the period of 9/28/23 to 9/27/24, which represents the second renewal option pursuant to Section 2 of the contract for services, with all other terms and conditions of reference contract for services to remain in full force and effect. So this is the credit card processing for the treasurer, for the animal shelter, for the courts. They all use this. So this is just extending our contract, same terms, and everybody seems to be very happy with the service.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Commissioner Painter,
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran,
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes. Thank you, Greg. Item I, member comments. Anything? Nothing?
From us.
Yes.
Talk about the ITP court docket that was talked about yesterday. I think that's a really good option that Judge Beckman has chosen to pursue. And if you don't know what that means, it's an intense treatment probation court docket that will allow people who are suffering from mental health, to be diverted if they have I shouldn't say diverted, because they're going to be charged with a misdemeanor charge, but they're going to be put into a program that can last as long as 2 years, to where they'll actually receive
help.
intense mental health. And the reason that she chose to go along this path was because many of the repeat offenders that she is seeing are people who experience some type of mental health challenge. And so I just thought that was a really
It
good.
was a very interesting subject, and to hear her present it, like I said, if these people have an issue, then they need the help and they deserve to get that help.
You bet. And seeing the high percentage of people who contact the courts, be actually impacted by mental health is, this is putting a path forward out there that I think will have great rewards for Clermont County and for not only the safety of people, but for the restoration of families. So I thought it was,
Yeah.
Yep.
It's good to see that there's something there that they can reach out to and get the help they need.
you bet.
Commissioner Corcoran, anything?
Nothing else. Thank you.
Okay, then I would accept a motion for adjournment. Oh, before I do that,
Yes.
next Wednesday, there's a very important luncheon that I need to go to. It's celebrating someone's 100th birthday that a lot of us that have lived around the Bethel, New Richmond area even, right? Know Superintendent William Bick, and he is turning 100 years old. And my class kind of adopted him, and he's adopted us. So I would love to be able to attend that. So if we could move our meeting up just a little bit, I've asked everyone to hold everything on the agenda. It's not every day that you get to celebrate, and still very active too. So that's even better. Would that be possible to do?
What time you want to move? You want to move it up to
Well,
9?
Yes, if we could.
Yes, it's not a problem.
Okay.
Anything on our
on it.
end.
Okay.
So
I
we'll make
wouldn't
that
ask
change.
this, but to me, it's something that
You would,
anyone
you
that
would like
wants
to
to
move it
go
up to
to it
7?
can. Hey, I'm ready. I'm a morning.
there you go.
That's all right.
So next Wednesday, our session will be at 9 a.m.
I would appreciate it. Thank you. With that, I would accept an adjournment.
So move.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Painter,
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran, Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes. We will see you next week
At 9.
at 9.